Hello, and welcome to User Experience Design PowerPoint about personas and user research. So in this PowerPoint, we're going to talk about doing a little bit of user research, and we're going to focus mostly on creating personas and kind of what they should contain. If you want to know more and actually watch the hands-on presentation, that's the next video. This is just the theory behind it. Okay, so we're going to do theory first, practice next. The whole point of creating personas and doing user research is to figure out who your users are and how to reach them and make their lives as easy as possible. So where do you start? Once again, you have an idea for an app or a product. It could be a website. It could be garden shears. It could be a new bicycle pump. Every product has its users, okay? The best products are designed in a way that fits the user's needs, and they become popular because they do their job very well and they're comfortable. When you're designing shears, you need to make sure that they're easy to squeeze for the most weak-handed people so that they can cut whatever it is that you want to cut with them. Okay. So if I'm working on the app that I've been using as an example throughout this semester, it's made with love, right? We have to identify the user. The users are definitely going to be pet owners who really want to or like to cook for their pets. But we need to know a little bit more. So, first thing, before you get too far into building your process, it's a good idea to do some research. One of the reasons is that it saves time. It saves money because you're not building functions or needs that are not necessary for people that don't want them, and you are avoiding problems before they arise. It makes you do the work faster, and it's easier to relate to someone than to just kind of build an app in space. And it finally builds a successful products that people want to buy. So that's kind of cool. There are different types of user research available. Card sorting is one of them. This one is kind of entertaining if you have a really massive website. And what you do is you write down words or phrases on note cards, and then you ask a person that would theoretically use this website to categorize them. You can also ask them to label the categories. That way you know what people would be looking for if they're, say, on Amazon and trying to find shoes. Would they look for shoes? Would they look for men's shoes? Another way of looking at users is to do an expert review, which is a single expert looks through your design, whether it's an app, website or an app, sorry about that, and they give you notes. Not usually, things for the public don't usually require this, but if you're making an app for, say, heart surgeons, it would not be stupid to have a heart surgeon to actually look at this app. Another very interesting technology, which is out on the market, but is out of our reach in class, is eye movement tracking, where the computer watches the user look at different parts of the screen. So it tells you how much time they're staring at some area, if they're having trouble with it, if they move directly to that point. It's kind of cool. Field studies are another really cool and fun research activity. Essentially, you go out and you watch people interact with a product or structure. So if you have a parking lot, you watch how cars pull in and pull out and how much trouble they have parking. If you have a garden, you can see where people cut across the grass to get to the next part, because you may have a beautiful path, but it might be too far away, and so people make shortcuts. Next form of user research, which we will be utilizing in this class, is usability testing and remote usability testing. You've already watched the video on how to do that, and that is going to be kind of our main research method because it is the most available to us and easiest to access, where you observe users working with a product and you assign him or her a series of tasks to do. And finally, we're going to use personas. Personas are a kind of an imaginary exercise. They're fictional representations of the ideal user for your product or website. Today, in this presentation, we're focusing on personas. There are 4 different approaches to personas. One is goal-directed personas, where you focus on what the users want to do with the product. Role-based personas, where you look at what they want to do, but also what it is that they do within the organization. So say you're making an accounting app, but you're focusing on managers within an accounting firm, for example. We're going to talk about, there's also engaging personas. They try to be as realistic and fully developed as possible. Think of writing a fictional character for a book or a miniseries. And then fictional personas that they have a little bit of research, but are not nearly as in depth as engaging personas. And these are made up by the UX team, and work with some experiences, assumptions based upon the past interactions that the UX team has had. So you're essentially building these and you're thinking, what would a person be like? Now, for any project that you work with, you should build at least 4 personas, okay? One is the perfect user, the one person that you are focusing all your goals on. One is kind of the almost perfect user. They would really enjoy using this app. Another would be a casual user, someone who sometimes uses the app. And finally, the sparse user, someone who only from time to time can use the app, but you might get them hooked and using your product more often. So, we're about to build a persona. Where do you start? Kind of like building an avatar for a video game. You pick the perfect user, and then you build the avatar. You give them a name, him or her. You give him or her an age, a career, education, hobbies. What do they like to do in their pastime? And a personal quote or catchphrase, which is interesting because I don't have a personal quote or catchphrase. But our imaginary person is going to. Then you look at this user's needs and goals, okay? What do they want to achieve? Why do they want to achieve it? What do they need to, why do they want to achieve it? And what do they need to achieve, okay? Technical background is also very important. Talk about the workplace. Where do they work and how long? If we're talking about someone who's working at a kitchen, then an app has to work very differently than someone who is working at an office setting in front of a computer. How computer savvy are they? Are we talking millennials that were born with some sort of device in their hand? Or are we talking, a couple generations before? So we're talking baby boomers who are about to retire and look at computers with slight distrust. Figure out what their favorite websites or resources online would be. Are they Googlers? Do they prefer Bing? Do they like Sailing World, or are they hobby makers and they go to websites where they can download 3D files for their 3D printer? And also, once that brings us to the last one, is what devices do they use? Do they use a computer? Do they use an iPad, Surface? I don't know, there are millions of phones out there. So just be specific. Finally, we start on the first draft. The way that I like to work with these is start on paper first. You may want to start in the computer later on when we're building these for our clients. That's fine. But for this first exercise, I'm going to ask you guys to go through the process and fully just immerse yourself with it. So first, you're going to need pen and paper. You're going to need to make a list of characteristics, kind of on a sticky note or something. Then get a bigger piece of paper and kind of lay it out roughly. Where do you want the picture? Where do you want the attributes? Do you want to have stars? Do you want to have toggles? What do you want it to look like? And finally, go to the computer and clean it up using any of the software that we have available. Figma, Word, Illustrator, InDesign, Xensio, they're all available to you guys. And some of them have pretty cool templates that you can use. Which also means that you can find a picture of somebody's face and put it in the design. Once you are done, make sure to save it in a web-friendly format so that you can share it with your team and your class. So the formats that we're looking for are JPEG, PNG, GIF, or PDF. If you're uploading the original to Canvas. It does take Word documents and will project them to people on the screen. So the people in your team don't actually need Word on their computers. But we should all have Word because with your school ID, you have Office 360. Cool. Now, that's it for this presentation. The next one is going to be a video demonstration of the full process of how to make this whole thing happen. So if you want to try it out before, go for it. If you need a little bit more instruction and a how-to video, it's coming up next.